welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Hello and welcome to the Skeptic Zone, episode 104 for the 15th of October 2010. Richard Saunders here with you once again. On this week's show, reporter Eran Segev talks to Roy Zimmerman, one of our TAM 8 interviews. Following that, we have an update from the Australian Vaccination Network. What are those loonies up to this week? Well, they're not happy. They are not happy indeed. Looks like they're about to lose, or in fact they have lost their charity license. We're going to play you a special report from ABC Television, all about that after the Zimmerman interview. And to round off the show, we have an unusual time. Maynard and I went to Sexpo. Yes, the sex show, the sex exhibition, whatever you want to call it. Retailers offering their wares, all sorts of things on sale and display. All sorts of things on display. But my interest was in some of the different aspects to Sexpo, and that is breast cancer awareness and some new age things going on. Now, bear in mind, when you hear my report, and I'm trying out some of these new age, dare I say, balance type things, that I didn't want to make a fuss, I didn't want to remonstrate or call people out. I simply wanted to hear what they had to say when selling their product. So bear that in mind when you listen to my report. Oh well, sit back, have a nice bowl of lovely vanilla custard, and enjoy the Skeptic Zone.
God made the world in 7 days. Well, that's 1 week to be specific. Now that's what I call scientific. Say hallelujah, sing his praise, 4042 BC. On Monday, August 27, he made the earth and sky and heaven.
Roy, thank you very much for being on the Skeptic Zone.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Can you tell me how you started as a musician?
Well, I can't even remember because I grew up in a musical family. My mom teaches piano, and my dad was musical too. So I began playing and writing songs from a very early age. And then, in high school, I started writing songs in earnest. And, so there was no beginning. There was no chicken or an egg.
Music has always been there.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you started writing your own songs in high school. Is that always lyrics and music?
Yeah, and pretty much always funny songs. I mean, as soon as I started writing them, that's kind of how they came out, And I was fascinated already with Tom Lehrer, and at that time Martin Mull and some of these other people who were doing funny songs. That's how I'm built,
And were the songs always political?
No. At first they were just silly, anything to get a laugh kind of songs. And it wasn't until I sort of developed my own political consciousness later on that they started veering in that direction.
And do you have a target audience for your political songs? Because I'm just thinking, I've been listening to songs basically since you came out on YouTube, because somebody sent me a link and I've started listening then, and I've never stopped. And the thing is that I can see how socially liberal, maybe skeptically minded people would certainly buy in very easily and very quickly. I'm just wondering whether your target audience is maybe a little bit broader than that.
Well, my target audience in terms of who I'm trying to talk to is, I'm trying to be part of the conversation. There's a conversation going on all the time in America, and worldwide for that matter, about issues of importance, whether they're political issues or social issues or, the things that we care about, right? So I'm, if that means I'm talking to everybody at once, I don't know, but I'm trying to contribute to that conversation. But I find that a lot of the people who do latch on to my songs come from the sort of skeptics, free-thinking, Center for Inquiry kind of side of things, atheist certainly side of things.
I wonder why that happens. But actually, I'm just wondering, your songs are humorous, satirical, very often sarcastic. I'm thinking about something like the song that keeps writing itself. You know, you said Ted Haggard is completely heterosexual, and there's the insert name here, basically.
Yes.
If you look at that sentence by itself, you'd obviously anybody can buy into that.
Yeah, yeah.
But satire often can go over the head of the people to which it's aimed. I'm just wondering whether you're seeing some of that.
It can, definitely, yeah, because, of course, the whole point, what you're alluding to is that the whole point of satire is just to state vehemently the position that you disagree with most, you know. And by stating it so vehemently, you point out its absurdities and, you know, right, I'm being professorial about it, but that's the whole idea. You make people laugh at it and therefore re-examine it, right? Okay, so, and, you know, for instance, Ted Haggard has heard that song.
Yes.
I have a little quote on my website. What did he say about the song? It's bad. I mean, it's funny, but it's not. How did he say it? I have to go to my website and I have to go research that or something. But you know, he has a little quote about that song. Yeah. I don't think it went over his head, definitely, but there's a kind of there's something missing in his understanding of what the
But
song
what about the kind of people in real America? Would they get it? I'm obviously. You're seeing my face now, saying "Real America."
Yeah, yes, I'm seeing exactly your point. Your point is taken. Would they get it? I don't know. You know, I would hope so. I would hope so because the people I've met in quote "Real America," you know, all across America, are beautiful, progressive people. When I do a show in a given town, it's not going to be a lot of the hey Balin. Palenistas who come out to the show. It's gonna be the critical thinking people in town. It's gonna be the Unitarians. It's gonna be the LGBT group. It's gonna be the Peace and Justice Coalition, or it's gonna be those people who come to see the show in the first place. So there's a pre-sorted sort of audience that's gonna latch onto these songs anyway.
Can you tell the audience about your travels, your 50-state or 48-state travel?
Yeah, it was, during the 2008 election, I made a campaign promise to perform in all 50 states. And I always put quotes around campaign promise because, I really didn't intend to make all 50, but I made 47 as I was driving around at the height of gas prices. And the idea for me was to get into the hinterlands and get to the red states, you know, and the swing states and places I'd never been before, never played before. And YouTube helped a lot in that regard, I'll tell you that. You know, I'd show up in Idaho Falls, Idaho, or, you know, Norman, Oklahoma, and people would know my songs already. That was pretty cool.
The YouTube thing, just as a little digress, that started with the performance in front of the Shermer's Skeptic Society?
Yeah. I did his Skeptics conference now 4 years ago. I guess it's 4 years ago, and they videotaped that. And the Creation Science 101 and a couple of the other songs, Defenders of Marriage, I think, then too, took place right there. They do that conference, you know, at Caltech University in Pasadena, California. So I'm performing in front of a blackboard in my suit and tie, you know, right? And so my first comments were like, where does this guy teach? You know, I got it right. A lot of people mistook me for a professor.
Yeah. And that's really changed things for you, hasn't it?
Oh, well, you know, yeah, because that song, Creation Science 101, got to P.Z. Myers, and P.Z. Myers reposted it, and I guess Richard Dawkins did too on his blog, and of course that you know spread the word definitely. Somehow that word got back to the YouTube people, and they put it on the front page, and you know it exploded after that. You know, it was just I had lots of views that I never imagined.
Wow! So the skeptical community can make a difference to a person's life.
I'll tell you a story about that. You know, first of all, there's lots of comments on that song. You go to that song on YouTube, and the comment section rages on. It still goes, you know, right? And it's not from people who are necessarily interested in the song or me.
Yeah.
It's people who are vehement about the issue itself and want to duke it out on my site, basically, right? Well, that's cool because every time they hit on it, I get another hit off of that then too. I'm all for that. And there was one guy who posted a song that he'd written, an original song in response to my song, and it was about about intelligent design and how he was trying to set me straight. It was a little condescending, I must say, but it was clever, a clever little song, setting me straight about the thing. He used, in one song, he used the phrase something volition. What was it? Absolute volition. It was like a seminarian's kind of phrase for intelligent design. Something volition. This must be the result of, right? And then in the next line, he said something like gorilla dung or something. He had and so I did write him back, and I said, I congratulate you on your breadth of lyrical, right? Because to work those two ideas into one song. And so I engaged him a little bit like that. And a couple of months later, he wrote back, and he said, "You've changed my mind."
Wow.
I mean, that never happens, and it's certainly not what I'm after. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, but it's really pretty cool that he would examine that, and then by like writing me back and forth and kind of examining the ideas, he was a young guy, and he was like forming his ideas about the thing, and he says, "You've changed my mind,"
Maybe because you weren't actually being professorial. Maybe because of the humorous attitude and the...
I hope so. I think that's probably right. I hope so. I hope that because I take a little bit of a bent look at it, that it allows people to kind of come around the corner with me.
Yeah, although I suppose some people could feel that they're actually being attacked. Snarkiness can have all kinds of effects on people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just speaking about the skeptical community and its effect on this, did you consider yourself a skeptic? Is that something like in terms of labels or the way you see yourself? I'm just wondering.
Well, a critical thinker, certainly. Yeah. And in terms of like the James Randi Foundation's work and all that, just the debunking of ridiculous myths and the throwing away of the what do you say, the sheet that covers anyway, the revealing the sunlight that just shine on things. Yes, I hope I'm doing the same sort of work. I mean, I hope that's why my songs resonate here. So yes, I guess I would call myself a skeptic, not an atheist. I would not say I'm an atheist. I have many atheist friends, but there are too many mysteries for me to be that certain.
I think there's a bit of a misconception here. Atheist is simply somebody who does not believe in God.
Right.
So I always say that atheist is not a position. It's the lack of a position.
Yeah.
In a sense, I just don't believe in God.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next topic.
Yeah, exactly.
But
right.
I understand that in the public perception, there is a bit of an atheist is somebody who is sure that there is no God.
That's right.
But
is evangelical about that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually only been true. That sense of atheist has only been true in the last few years since, the new atheists came around.
Huh.
But really, atheist, that's what he means. He means the lack of a belief in God. So
right.
A lot of the songs that you write are about religion. Or about religious figures, at least. For example, I just noted to myself, obviously Creation Science, which you've mentioned. I think that was the first song of yours that I actually saw in Abstain With Me, which is really great. Or Ted Haggard. But you're saying that you're not an atheist. So I'm just wondering about why is it that religion is treated by your songs that often?
Well, there's the idea is to puncture holes in power too, right? And there's political power, so I certainly take my pot shots at political figures and issues too. But so much power is concentrated in religious belief, and so much hypocrisy, and so much kind of ridiculous assuredness about things that there's no proof, and right. There's a lot to write about. I guess that's what you'd say. It's not just that they're easy targets; they are, but it's not just that. Okay. It's not just that I'm lazy.
Well, but if there are easy targets with political power, then why not?
Yeah, why not? Exactly right.
Now, your positions by Australian standards are pretty mainstream.
Uh-huh.
But I know here you're considered to be a lefty. I'm wondering what it is like to be a lefty in America. It's not even, you mentioned in the show last night that you live in an area that's very liberal, that puts the blue in the blue state. And,
right.
But still, you roam around and you do encounter other people with different opinions. How does that feel? What kind of responses do you get? How do you feel about it personally?
Well, it is. First of all, I'll say that it's very interesting that America is such a conservative place. When I do hear about the political scene elsewhere in the world, in a lot of Europe and so forth too, it can be disheartening at times that we're such a huge country with such huge potential for good and for intelligence and creativity and beauty, and that a lot of that gets polluted and manipulated by small-minded, short-thinking people preying on fear and all that. That's where that conservative side of things comes in too. So that can be a little daunting. I'll put it that way as I travel across the country too, and I just see evidence of people giving themselves over to these ridiculous, first-grade notions of what life should be, right? But then I meet these people who are doing the kind of work that I'm talking about, standing on street corners and doing an anti-war vigil every Friday for 6 years, and getting tomatoed because of it and stuff, right? I go, well, that gives me heart then too, because there are people who really are not, subscribing to this.
Yes. And do you get any hostility ever?
Any what now?
Hostility.
Yeah, So as I say, I don't often play just a public open event. It does happen, but I don't often do that. And when I do that, I do get, I get some fingers and I get some comments and so forth too. But more often than that, people say, I disagreed with everything you said, but I laughed anyway. I love that comment.
Yep.
And then I get that much more often than I get somebody who's saying, get a job, or some stupid thing, right?
That's somebody out of a job who has time to.
From somebody out of a job. So, I got yours, man.
Now, are there any topics that you're thinking about right now, things that trouble you about current America, but maybe about the economic situation and all that, things that are in your mind, preying on your thoughts at the moment, that you are writing songs about or thinking about writing a song about in the future?
Yeah, because some of my songs have longer legs, I hope, than other songs. The songs that are about particular issues or particular people tend to fade, right? Yeah. George Reekers is completely heterosexual. Who's going to remember that in a year? Hopefully nobody. Anyway, right? He's going to have his little flash in the pan. But there are songs then about how we look at the world and how we form our opinions and the general decline of America. That's what's on my mind, really, is the decline of America, which is inevitable. It's not just me saying this. There's lots of sociologists who are saying, that there's going to be a rise and fall, and just naturally there is, and I think we're beginning our some would say free fall, from a place where our potential can actually manifest good in the world to a place where we're just trying to hang on.
Do you think that has to do with the social attitudes? You have a song called "Socialist."
Yes,
it actually shows that it's got to do with perception. It's got nothing to do with real policies.
Right.
I mean, the most right-wing presidents are the one who put in the most left-wing socialist policies in place or activities. Do you think the social attitudes is what leads to that fall or that decline?
No, I think the social attitude more follows it than leads it. I think, first of all, that it is just a natural phenomenon, the rise and fall and all, and certain institutions get calcified, and certainly the U.S. Congress is one of those.
Yes,
and things stop happening. It becomes more about itself than it becomes about doing any kind of work, and we're totally seeing that happen. And a guy like Obama can be elected on hope and change, and truly inspire hope for real change. But then he gets into the office, and he's the guy who holds that office. It's that office,
yes.
that's become calcified, and there's only so much. Now his feet are in cement. What's he going to do?
Yes. But then he's trying to put in some change, and then he's a socialist.
Yeah, then he's a socialist, right? For wanting, babies to have health care. You It makes you scratch your head.
No.
See, people like protesting healthcare reform. We can't have that. And they're out there with their babies. They're out there on the street corner with their babies protesting healthcare reform. Babies shouldn't have healthcare. Isn't that patently obvious? How ridiculous that is?
Yeah, I remember listening to a PBS. We get PBS in Australia as well, and remember listening to I think it was a street corner protest against the healthcare reforms, and there was this woman who was literally crying about this, and she felt her country was being taken away from her by these healthcare reforms, and her precise words were crying. She said, "I don't want America to become social like Russia." So, okay.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. It'd be terrible if we were social.
Yeah. Now your newest record,
Real American. Yeah.
That came out a couple of weeks ago, right?
About a month ago now. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a YouTube alert.
Yes.
That came out.
Good.
So,
okay. It works then.
Yes,
all right,
it does
great.
work. Yeah. So can you tell us about that record?
Yeah. Well, it's really kind of the result of that driving around America and seeing what was really going on and so forth. And of course, that phrase "Real America" came up during the 2008 election then too, as if there were any other kind of America. Instantly, it sets up an adversarial, kind of a relationship, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, then what am I, right? Some of it actually became more current as I worked on the album. There were songs about the financial crisis and songs about this neoconservative or new conservative, push pitchfork, peasants with pitchforks kind of movement. That I'm glad it took me a long time to finish the record because by the time I released it, they were really in the news. They were really happening. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the record. I'll put it that way. And I play a lot of banjo on it. Banjo's funny. Got to admit that.
Well, you have a banjo song, a banjo joke, don't you?
Well, yes, there's a banjo joke in the opening song, and you hear that song on the record, and the banjo's all over that song, so it makes the joke that much funnier, one would hope. Yes, how does the joke? I can't do it out of context. Bringing people together, bringing all kinds of people together to sing, to live in perfect harmony, like the strings of a banjo. Okay, bad example. That's the joke. Right. There, I got it out.
And where can people go and find your record?
The records on my website. They're all on royzimmerman.com, and then they're all kind of downloadable through iTunes or CD Baby and some other places then too.
All your songs are downloadable on iTunes as well?
Yeah, I think all of them now are up there on iTunes. It's going to be interesting to see in the next few months how the industry changes. They say nobody buys CDs anymore, and I hope that's not true, but it may be true.
Well, Roy, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much for being
Eran, thank you. Okay, you bet.
The kids get such an education when they shun the heretical theory of the development of life on Earth over millions of years by means of spontaneous genetic mutation.
Canadian, or more particularly, are you a Vancouverian? Vancouverite? Vancouver... Anyway, if you'll be anywhere near Vancouver on Saturday, November 20th, then listen up. CFI presents The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe and George Hrab live in Vancouver. Dr. Stephen Novella, Bob Novella, Evan Bernstein, Jay Novella, and special guest George Hrab will record a live taping of The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe on Saturday, November 20th, 2010, at the University of British Columbia's Heb Theatre. For information, tickets, and maybe more information, go to www.cficanada.ca.
Every channel all that I do is see oceans of gullible.
Australia's most prominent anti-vaccination group has been stripped of its charitable status. The Australian Vaccination Network will no longer be able to make public appeals for money after New South Wales authorities moved to restrict the organisation's fundraising ability. Leading vaccination experts have welcomed the move and say the group's dangerous, but the Vaccination Network's leader has vowed to fight on. John Stewart reports.
The Australian Vaccination Network is run by Merrill Dorey on the north coast of New South Wales. The AVN provides anti-vaccination information through its website, magazines and seminars. In July, the Healthcare Complaints Commission accused the AVN of providing inaccurate and misleading information about vaccinations to parents. But the criticism was dismissed by the group.
This was not an independent investigation. This was an investigation by an organisation that set out to support government policy, which is pro-vaccination.
The Healthcare Complaints Commission ordered the AVN to publish a statement on its website saying that the group is against vaccinations and its information should not be read as medical advice. But the group refused to publish the warning. Today, the New South Wales Office of Liquor, Gaming and Racing revoked the group's charitable status, stopping it from making public appeals for money. Merrill Dorey says the decision was politically motivated.
This is the way that they handle dissent, by shutting organizations down that don't agree with their policies. And it's not the sort of move that you would expect in a democratic nation.
But vaccination experts like Professor Robert Boy from Westmead Children's Hospital in Sydney say the group is spreading a dangerous message and discouraging parents from vaccinating their children.
Children on the north coast of New South Wales have died of pertussis. Only last year a child died. Only last year another child in New South Wales died of varicella or chickenpox. And these are vaccine-preventable diseases. It's a tragedy.
Merrill Dorey says her group will continue regardless of the new fundraising limits.
It may make things more difficult, but it's not going to stop us. We have a right to operate. Parents have a right to the information that we offer them.
They are certainly a danger to public health. I've been very concerned for quite a long time about the fact that the very thing they say they're doing, which is providing people with options with choice, is the very thing they take away by being completely subjective, non-evidence-based and not supportive of the truth, which is that vaccines are generally beneficial and have some side effects. By being in that way, they have reduced people's choices, convinced people not to vaccinate, and children have died.
The AVN says it will keep going by using private donations. John Stewart, Late Line.
So, is anything in Canberra rational?
Say it like you mean it! Click the button.
I'm guessing Brother Peter is Brother Michael's brother.
There's nothing magical or miraculous about that.
We should totally contact NASA.
Yeah, because what I most want to have happen in my life is to be laughed at by NASA. And I believe I'm completely legally covered there.
I've totally lost my train of thought now.
Isn't that amazing?
Rational Capital, the podcast for science and skepticism in and about Canberra.
Whoa!
Join us twice a month for either an in-depth look at issues affecting the national capital or for an open panel discussion with our many guests. Find out more at rationalcapital.com.au.
Meow.
We're here at Sexpo, Sydney 2010. The sex exhibition and selling opportunity for many vendors. But we're here for the Skeptic Zone to look at some of the different aspects going on here at Sexpo. Maybe some of the new age aspects or something not quite related to all-out sex. Let's see what we find. Well, Maynard, we are surrounded by sex.
Look, it wouldn't be the first time, you know. I'm a veteran of Hellfire. I've been to 3 of these before. I've been to a few play parties like Lush, that kind of thing. The unusual thing for me is that it's actually daylight.
Yeah, and we're not far from a couple of dinosaurs sort of dressed up as genitalia.
That's right. We've got the Boobosaurus, the Penisaurus, and Penis Man, who we spoke to earlier there, and was a lovely chap. Like I said, his work with the Bell Shakespeare Company is largely gone forgotten now, but he's well known as the Penisaurus.
Yes.
Well, I assume that's where he worked. I mean, you wouldn't get to just be Penisaurus. They wouldn't take any old dick off the street, would they?
Oh,
come on.
Well done, Maynard.
Thank you.
So we'll be...
Now, look, and also, you're wondering, where is Dr. Raichi? Now, look, unfortunately, Richard would cover this kind of thing with Dr. Raichi, but he's with me today, and the good news is that I've been called a big girl many times, which is something Raichi hasn't been called, because she's kind of hot and petite, but I've been called a big girl lot, so I'm going to be a perfect partner with Richard today.
This is the perfect place for you then, Maynard, because we're surrounded by all sorts of interesting things to do with the sex industry, but what the Skeptic Zone are going to be concentrating on, of course, is the other aspects, like breast cancer awareness or female mutilation, which I noticed is they've got an awareness thing down there.
And also sex trafficking.
And also there is a device here that you wear that improves your balance. We will be checking this out.
We will indeed. Now, how we'll go on this, I'm not quite sure. And it's basically, you do the G-rated version, and I'll do the version that we can use for my podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. I think between the two of us, we'll have quite a good show.
I think so. Now, I'm talking with Tracy Bevan here from the McGrath Foundation. Tracy, what brings you to Sexpo?
Sexpo is raising funds for the McGrath Foundation. Over the past 2 years, they've raised almost $37,000, which is fantastic.
And what exactly, for our listeners and audience who may not know, our international listeners, what is the McGrath Foundation exactly?
So the McGrath Foundation is a charity of cricketer Glenn McGrath and his late wife Jane McGrath. We lost Jane to breast cancer on the 22nd of June 2008. And since then, Glenn and I and the McGrath Foundation have been raising funds to help other women going through breast cancer.
That's great. So this is an opportunity for you to come out, publicise what you do, have a bit of fun,
Yep.
a lot of fun with everybody else, and help raise more funds for this very worthwhile cause.
Yeah, we raise funds for breast care nurses, but equally as important to us is being breast aware. So where else but Sexpo to, bring breast awareness to all ages.
Looking around me, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so it's a fun event, but it's a serious message from the McGrath Foundation that women of all ages need to be checking their breasts.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I'm with someone pretty special here. It's, tell us who you are and what you've been doing lately.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sexpo is now open.
It sure is, and to celebrate that fact, we're with
Fiona Patton from the Australian Sex Party.
Well, now, for overseas listeners and people that are watching this as a podcast, how come Australia has a sex party that's done so well in an election? Now, apart from maybe Amsterdam, what other countries in the world have had a sex party that's been as successful as yours has been?
I think this is actually a world first.
Really?
There is a sex party in Vancouver, but they've really just run, I think, in sort of local elections where we made our first sort of foray onto a national election. And I'm not sure whether it's because Australia is so backward that we did so well, or if it's because we're so forward that we did so well.
Do you think it was a particularly unique election this time because it was such a hung parliament and people in some ways didn't care for either party, that you benefited from that, or because you were coming along, people went, yeah, we've been waiting for this? What do you reckon it was?
Look, I think it was a bit of both. I mean, certainly there was a lot of people just really disaffected by the two major parties. They weren't speaking to them. And, we do seem to see our politicians getting more and more conservative. And I think there was a real concern about that from the general public, that they wanted to see another voice in Parliament.
Now, one of the moments for your election campaign would have been your interview with the religious party on Sunrise. It was a bit of a tipping point in some ways because most people went to YouTube and had a look at that video. A lot of people didn't watch it in the morning, they weren't up, but they watched it later. Yeah. And the thing that I got from most people was that you seemed to be reasonable with your views and opinions, where the religious party based on the religious dogma was not so. And now, how did it feel to do that interview at the time?
Look, it was it was quite a surreal experience. Certainly, I haven't done a lot of national, breakfast television, and certainly so it was a great opportunity for us. No one had heard of us.
And that was Family First you were debating, and their main platform is what for those people who aren't aware of them?
Family First is religious. They're totally backed into bringing more religion into politics and more religion into Parliament. They have a very conservative view, of homosexuality, of censorship, of a whole range of issues. They're kind of the anathema to the Australian Sex Party. So it was a really interesting interview. I mean, she was butter wouldn't melt in her mouth when, before we went on air and we were in the green room, having a nice chat, oddly enough, about spam. I don't know why.
Okay.
Like spam in a can, not spam on the internet.
And of course, it was a little bit of a fish in a barrel because you've got a lot of experience as a communicator, and perhaps she didn't have so much there. But what do you think was the main point you got across in that debate that resonated with people?
Look, I think you're right. I think a lot of people went, well, it's a really radical name, but they actually seem like quite a sensible party.
Well, that's the kind of thing that Americans would go, what? You've called yourself the Sex Party? Because over there they would have libertarians or something like that. They wouldn't want to use the word sex because that would scare the American electorate off. Not so here.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think, still people are scared off by the name, but I certainly feel that we got over 250,000 votes and, people are saying, will you change your name? And I think, we just got 250,000 votes. Why would we change our name? And while people still are really kind of uptight about the word sex, I think that's actually a greater reason for us to keep being the Australian Sex Party.
Okay. And what is going to be your principal issue, to use the Julia Gillard, going forward? What's going to be your principal issue that you really push?
Look, I think fundamentally we're a civil liberties party, and there just isn't a strong civil libertarian party out there now. The Greens have really kind of they've joined the big boys. And joining the big boys has a price to pay, and that includes a lot of compromises.
Although if you had been offered, if you had the balance of power and you'd been offered, you would have taken it, because that means you could have put your agenda to the forward.
Well, absolutely. Look, I'm not criticising the Greens. I think they've done phenomenally well, and we're just probably filling in a hole that they have moved from. So we're filling that gap. But yes, it certainly will be around censorship. It will be getting religion out of politics and getting government out of people's lives and out of businesses. I mean, we come from a small business background rather than a kind of activist, radical background.
And what's the message to the people that are feeling a bit uncomfortable with the Sex Party?
Have a look at our policies. Really, and sex is on every single government form that you fill out. It's about gender. It's not just about what you do in the bedroom. And, frankly, we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be discussing population control, a whole range of issues, if it wasn't for sex.
And I'm at the booth of the Breast Cancer Support with Marion, isn't it?
Yes.
Hello,
how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's good.
I'm so glad that people like you are here at Sexpo.
Absolutely.
And obviously you're interested in breast cancer support.
That's correct. We're here today to raise awareness and donations for breast cancer. So we have a range of products that were specifically designed for the cause.
That's excellent. And where's your foundation based? Where are you located?
We're actually a national foundation. Our foundation is Dragons of Breast Australia, and we have offices all across the country.
And if our listeners would like to find out a little bit about the good work you do,
yes.
What's the website they can visit?
Okay, so we have two websites. One is breastcancersupport.com.au, very easy, and the other one is the foundation site, which is dragonsofbreastaustralia.com.au.
I encourage everybody to have a look at those websites. And where are you from, by the way?
Originally from France, but supporting the cause here in Australia.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm here at the stand of Clitorade. What are you doing here at Sexpo?
We're collecting money for the people in Africa to get their clitorid restored again, and the doctors, and they're all working for nothing. And there's a clinic there now for the people to have their clitorid restored. And of course, we're asking for donations to help the women out in Africa.
But I notice also that you're part of the Raelians.
That's correct, yeah,
yes.
With the Raelian movements, yeah.
And that's the movement who believe that humans were clones from aliens, is that true?
That's correct, yeah, that's right. That the aliens came and created the human beings on Earth. Yeah.
I see. Well, all the best with your charitable works.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
And we're here at the Psychic Readers booth here, and there's about, maybe 15 tables set up with psychics ready to go, and we're speaking with...
Regina.
Hello, Regina.
Hello.
Is this your first time for the psychics to come to Sexpo?
No, I started from the beginning.
Really?
Yes,
really?
10 years ago.
It's been going that long?
Yes.
Well. So, I notice you're right along here, sort of mixed up with everything else.
Yeah.
You often get a lot of people coming on for psychic readings.
Yes, a lot, yeah. Couples, mostly.
I see.
But single people as well, yeah.
And you've got some of Australia's leading psychics here, I guess.
Yes, I do. They come from the Gold Coast, from Brisbane, from Melbourne, from everywhere, yeah.
I see. And some... Oh, I see. They've got their photographs up here so people can... Gold Coast Psychic, there it is. Read a little bit about them. Well, I will be interesting to see how many people come along and take advantage of your psychic readings today.
Oh, I think it'll be very popular. In the beginning, they just look around and then they'll come here.
Over.
Yeah, I'll give them a brochure and then they'll come back here.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Rudy.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here at the Ekin stand, the booth here at Sexpo 2010, about to find out what it's all about. What is Ekin? And I'm with... Braden, what is Ekin?
Ekin, what they do power bands. It's designed to improve your balance, flexibility, endurance and strength. It does it by sending frequencies from these discs to your body's frequency, gets your body's frequency to the centre core, which everything you do comes from the core, so it gets your body's frequency to the core the way we should be.
The frequencies of what?
Hologram discs. Holograms send frequencies.
Holograms send frequencies, right?
Yep, so these send frequencies to your body's frequency.
Oh, and
they straighten you up.
They straighten you up?
Yep.
I see, and I saw you doing practical demonstrations.
Yeah, I can do a demonstration on you, yeah.
Well, let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. What I'll get you to do, stand with your feet together and arms out wide. I'm going to push the pressure on your elbow. You're going to try and stay as strong as you can, as straight as you can, just testing your balance. So I'm going to get you to lift your right leg up so you're on one foot. Then just resist this pressure.
Yep.
Yep, so that's pretty easy for me to do that. That's nothing to do with strength, that's just everybody's core balance. If you do it again, just make sure I'm not strange. Yep, it's the exact same thing, just hold on to the Ekin band. One leg up, right leg. Exact same thing, resist this pressure once again. That's the difference right there. That is amazing, isn't it?
So with the Ekin band on, with its hologram discs, oh, I see. There are two.
There's two on each side. There's actually four.
Yep.
So there's two on each side of the band.
Now, I've seen something called the Power Band. Is this a different product?
There's a band called Power Balance. The difference between us and them is...
Power Balance, yes.
Yep. We've got 4 discs. They've got 2, obviously twice as strong. Also, our bands are a lot stronger. They're surgical-grade silicon, so they won't break. If they do, send it back to us. We'll send you a new band straight back out.
And the research that's gone into making this technology, do you know anything about the science behind it?
The science behind it is being studied right now. It started off in the US. It's just come to Australia, and that's why we're getting all the sports stars on board. Everybody swears by it. We've got people with arthritis wearing them. We've got 9 and 10-year-old kids playing sport with them. We've got tradies wearing them, even behind a computer, because you get backache. A lot of people like that are wearing them.
What a remarkable product. Almost too good to be true. The Ekin band. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're here at Sexpo 2010, and we're at the, let me have a look. Yes, it's the Bionic Balance, and we're with...
Rosette.
Rosette. Hello, Rosette. Tell me, what is Bionic Balance?
Bionic Balance, it's actually what I'm wearing now. It can come in a bracelet and a necklace.
Yes.
It's made out of 2 elements, which is germanium and titanium. And what it does, when you put it on your body, it helps your blood to circulate better. And, you know, when you have a better circulation, it gives you better balance, less pain, a lot of other things that it does to you.
And how does this help your circulation? What does it do?
Like I said, it's made out of germanium and titanium. Those 2 elements, they're very good conductor of electricity. So what you put it on your body, it helps you bioelectrical balance. And when you put it on it, it helps your blood to circulate better. And that's how it works.
I see. And you were giving demonstrations just a moment ago. Could I have a demonstration too? Yes. There we go. Well, I just tried the Bionic Balance, and goodness me, I was tipping off balance when I didn't have it on, and when I had it on, I was having a little bit better balance.
Yeah.
Well, that's just remarkable, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Look, we're just here in the VIP bar, and the VIP bar is next to the Porn Star stage. Now, I imagine you don't do too many Skeptic Zone podcasts near the Porn Star stage, do you, Richard?
Not anymore, Maynard, not anymore.
Yeah. Look, there was a few people that asked me about Dr. Rachie. I said, no, she doesn't do that work anymore since she went into cell biology. And they said, oh, is that what she's calling it these days?
You expect me to comment about that?
But Oh, hang on. I think that's Dr. Rachie now.
Dr. Rachie now.
Yep, but I've seen your eyes open a few times, Richard, and you are very sceptical, but your eyes were opening in almost religious fashion. In fact, I heard you say, "Oh my God," at one stage, and I know you're not a very religious man.
Well, see, if I crane my neck a little bit, Maynard, I can look around this partition and I can see one of the porn stars here.
No, that's Katsumi.
Having photographs.
Yes, and she's bearing our breasts. She's bearing her breasts, and people are having their photo taken with her, which is part of what you do as a porn star.
We're sitting at the wrong table, man.
No, well, we're just sitting at the wrong table. By the way, we are in the VIP section, and it's again
naturally.
It's not very often that Richard Saunders is seen in the VIP section at an adult expo.
No, I can count the number of times on one finger.
Well, not since his days with Ron Jeremy, anyway. But what do you think's been the most interesting booth we've been to so far?
Now, I must admit, I think I really like the breast cancer awareness people. I mean, all the other stuff you expect, of course, but it's good to see people out here doing really great work for breast cancer and research and that sort of thing. So, 3 cheers for them.
Yes, and I'm sure they will be raising lots of money. It was great to talk to Fiona Patton too and hear a bit about the Australian Sex Party.
Absolutely. We've spoken to her before on the Skeptic Zone, so she's doing a good job.
Look, and speaking of doing a good job, we'll just have to get in the queue for Katsumi, and I'll talk to you later. I don't know what you're doing, Richard, but I'm just going to join that line over there.
All right, Maynard.
Hello, I'm Tony Pittman, the presenter of the weekly radio show and podcast Reality Check, broadcast from here in Melbourne, Australia. And if you like listening to the Skeptic Zone, maybe you'd like to check out Reality Check. Each week we bring you a roundup of LGBT news, that's news related to lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender issues, plus a movie review, plus a serious skeptical analysis of a topic related to pseudoscience or the paranormal. So if that sounds like it could be right up your alley, visit our website at realitycheckonline.net. There you can listen online, download episodes or subscribe. That's realitycheckonline.net.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. I think Maynard and I have just about recovered from Sexpo. I'll be putting up the video of some of that report I did from Sexpo on the feed pretty soon, so you can actually see me doing those tests or taking part in those tests, and might give you a better understanding. Another thank you to those wonderful people who subscribe to the Skeptic Zone, only $1 a week, or I think it's even 99 cents. It's not very much at all. If you feel like you'd want to contribute to the Skeptic Zone, you can always pop along to our website, www.skepticzone.tv, and subscribe for $1 a week for as long or as short as you want to. We do appreciate it. Also, if you enjoy the show, and I hope you do, please tell your friends and your enemies about it. Until next week's show, though, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to The Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.
The Skeptic Zone.